Hello everybody and welcome back. This is a live episode of the Lofty N Scaler, and it's been all week. It's one of those Thanksgiving weeks, and I haven't had really time for a regular episode, so please forgive me. I'm also on my iPad, so the sound quality isn't quite that great. I had a microphone set up for it, but for some reason the iPad's not recognizing the microphone, and so you're probably getting kind of an echoey sound to it. So please forgive that. Typically audio is very important to me, but I just can't seem to get it to work today. So update. So I was going to do a video of taking my section that I was working on and putting it up into the loft, but Mrs. N Scaler decided she was going to come home just a day early and say, hey, I'm on my way right now. And so I sort of had a panic attack, and let's hold on a second here. So I'm on my iPad, and for some reason it's not showing the chat window. So, okay, I'm getting chat right there. Hey, thank you for much. Yeah, the sound might be kind of echoey. So, but anyway, Mrs. N Scaler was coming home early, so I had to drag this bad boy up here and put it up here without doing a video on it. And so for that I apologize. But it wasn't too bad. The only thing is that if I have my 4-foot section where I'm going to have the coal mine, I probably would not have been able to get an 8-foot section up here. So with that in mind, if I ever just take this apart, the smaller 4-foot sections are going to have to go first, and then the 8-foot sections. So let me flip the camera around, and let's see here. Okay, so right now, this is kind of what we're looking at here. I have to trim that foam off at the end there. I haven't trimmed the switches yet, so you see all the wires sticking up. But as we go down here, it's of course hanging off the end there because I haven't trimmed that yet and moved it to the wall. So that's going to be on the agenda today, is to trim that. I'm also thinking about moving this a little bit away from the wall, just because background is going to be a little bit difficult because this is a slope ceiling. I don't know if you guys can see how that ceiling slopes. Of course it's not focusing, but now it's focusing. But it slopes, and so there's not going to be much room for background. So more than likely what I'm going to have to do is paint that wall to get it to as a backdrop. So put some low-lying bushes in there and maybe some trees, and then have a blue sky background. And then today what I'm trying to do is get this all sort of wired up. And what I'm doing for that is, I think I mentioned earlier in a previous video that I don't want to have to crawl around underneath the layout to try and wire everything. There is going to be some amount of that going on, but what I've got here going on here is some hinges and a board. And so the idea is that I'm going to put the hinges at the top of this board, and then it's going to go under the layout. It's going to fold up. All the electronics will be right here, and then when I want to work on the electronics, the hinges will come out and swing up, and then I can put it here. So I just have to have enough wire coming through to reach all the electronics. So it's going to cost me extra and more wire, but it'll save my back in the long run, I think. So anyway, this is a 1.5-foot board, and I've got my DigiKeys DCC system that's going to go on here. Thanks again to Iron Planet Hobbies and DigiKeys for that. So the only bad part is that I've got these totes underneath here, and so I'm going to have to spread these totes out to little different areas so I can get these this thing to swing underneath it for clearance. So I'll have like a thing of wires, all of which will have to be labeled The actual servo motors will actually have extension cords on them, so I don't have to worry about individual there. But I'll be taking. Now I can't find my extension cords, but I think I have some 3-foot extension cords, and basically they'll all be labeled for each switch. Since this is the first section, each switch is going to start with a 1. And then the second number is going to be main line, and then the third number will be secondary track or secondary switch. So like the first switch will be 1 1, and then 1 2 1 3, and then if it's a secondary line, it'll be 1 2 1 1 2 1 2. I'll have to think about that. How do I hold the board up when not working with electronics? Good idea. Good question. I thought about that too. So what I also have in my kit, and these may not be strong enough, but this is what I plan on using magnets. So I'm going to glue magnets to the end and onto the bottom, so it'll go up and clip into place and hold it. If the magnets aren't strong enough, depending on how much weight is on this board, it may not hold it up, but I may have to add just maybe another extra magnet or two. These I just got at Lowe's, so these aren't that... I don't even know what the power is on these things. But they seem pretty strong, so we'll see how they go. And then as far as when it comes out, when it folds out, and I'm holding it like this, I could either just get a piece of wood and prop it up, or I thought about actually putting a magnet at the top here and on the bottom of the ledge, so when it swings up, the 2 magnets or 2 or 3 magnets will clip it and hold it in place. But that's not going to work if I'm pushing on it or anything like that, so I'm really going to need something more solid, like a piece of wood, an extra leg or something like that. So I'll probably just have it like an extra piece of wood. I'll just stick up there and prop it up so it doesn't move. But as far as when it folds up underneath, I think a couple magnets will hold it in place, and then it'll come out. This is a work in progress. Like I said, my ideas, I have great ideas sometimes, but they don't always work out. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm kind of under the gun today because my grandkids are coming over this afternoon and nothing's wired yet. And so I really need to, pardon me, try to get at least one section of track running. For wire, for all my track leads and stuff like that, I'm using 20 gauge wire. And this is N scale, and even 20 gauge is maybe even a little bit thick, but it should be good enough. It's what I used in my last layout. And what I did was I went to Lowe's and I got bell wire. So I got 100 feet of bell wire for 14 bucks. I've got all kinds of wire for stuff, but this is going to be mainly for my common and then my sections. For my frogs, I've got a spool of this wire here that I got off of eBay, but I'm not quite sure. You know, they said it was copper, but I don't think it's copper. I think it's like aluminum or something like that. So it doesn't look like copper to me. Let's see if it focuses. No? It sort of looks like aluminum to me. Now, I used it on my last layout, but I may not use it on this layout. This is really just, this would just be for frog polarity, so it might be okay. It's not going to be carrying a lot of voltage. For the main bus, I'm going to use 14 gauge wire, which I got from Lowe's. Actually, this is 12. I think, yeah, I've got 14 here. So 14 gauge wire. I might use the 12 gauge for the main bus since I have it. It's black and red. And then I'll just have to color coordinate black and red with white and red. So red will always be red, white will be the new black. So, trying to think what else. Oh, and when I was cutting out, I'll probably do a video on how I'm installing these switches. I'm thinking about, for future switches, when I'm embedding these switches into foam, doing something different. Right now, I'll show you. Okay, so right now you can see that the switches are embedded into the foam there, and so I kind of have to really finagle it to make sure that the wires are in the correct spot. And it's sort of a pain in the rumpus. So what I'm thinking is of moving the motor just slightly off the switch so it's not in there, and then just creating a linkage to pull that switch back and forth. It's worth a try, because that way I can just install the switches and not exactly have to worry about where it's going to be. So I could put the whole road bed down, install the switch, and then put in the switch motor later. One thing I did find working with foam, of course, you know, we have hot wire tools for foam, but I didn't really have a hot wire or one of those hot foam needles, or what do you call it? Anyway, to cut it. So I got this, and you can see it's kind of, I just got a lighter and heated it up and then cut it out. Worked really well. It was fast. And then I would trim it down without using heat, but it got the bulk of the thingamabobber out. So that is where we are at. I still have to secure the cam connect to the wall. You can see I'm moving the table a little bit, but once I get that secured to the wall, it's not going to move. Like I said, I have to decide if I'm going to move it out just a hair, like maybe 3 inches. Right now the foam is right up against that wall, but I'm really inclined just to move it out just a few inches, just to give me that little extra space for the wall there. But I haven't decided yet. I need to decide fairly soon. I cut a hole, like I said, I cut 1-inch holes in this. So, and then I'm going to cut a 1-inch hole in the bottom of the cam connect. And then the wires will come down all together, and then I have to make sure that everything is labeled correctly, so I don't screw everything up, and the labels will stay on them forever. And then I can just disconnect all the electronics and then remove the foam and then carry it out if I have to. But then it's easy just to hook everything back up again. At least that's the idea, right? Famous last words. I have a funny feeling I'm going to be in this loft forever, though. It's just one of those feelings. I have a funny feeling my stepdaughter is going to be in the basement for a long time. Trying to think of anything else. You can see that the loft, my grandson's coming over, so this is his area down there. This is where the 4-foot section, square section is going to be, right where that tote is and that box. And then it's going to be a narrow shelf layout all the way down to the end. And then he's going to lose some space eventually as I do it. But I think after I work all the way down to that end, I'll come back, and don't get sick. I'm going to spin around here. I'll come back here, and that's my light, sorry. Make a loop around this side, and then maybe have a 1-foot section that comes down here, all the way down there, and then ends just before the bed, if it comes into focus. Will it come into focus? Might not know. There it goes. So, anyway. I bought some servos off of eBay, which I was kind of wondering about, but they seem to be like the exact same thing as the servos I was getting off of Hobby King. So they're called Tower Pro 9G servos with a 12.012 second throw. So it's a nice slow throw, and we'll see how they work. Oh, uh-oh. Question. I don't know why I'm not getting the the chat. I saw a question pop up. But I lost it before I could read it. Hey, whoever it was, can you just pop it up here again, copy it, and paste it up there again? Like I said, I'm on my iPad, and I can't find why I don't have a chat window. It's showing me. Your chat pops up, but then it like disappears after so many seconds. Show left. Huh. And there's nothing I can do. No, I don't want to stop streaming. Okay, have you thought about using grommets to line the holes to prevent damaging the wire? I'm probably going to put something around it. I haven't really, you know, I don't know how much it'll damage it, tell you the truth. If nothing else, I'll line the hole with some tape, some electrician's tape, or something, just to keep, you know, I know what you're saying, that when I start going in and out like that, that wire is going to rub, and it's going to rub the insulation off of it. There's also, since I'm using, you know, relatively thin wire, of the wires breaking after so much movement, but I don't think it's really going to have that much movement. I also thought about, instead of having it something swing out, to have more like a shelf where it slides out. But either way, I'm going to have that those wires are going to be moving some which way, you know, whether they're going to be moving like this or moving like that. So the shelf would be easier for access or space-wise, but I don't know if the shelf would exactly work out quite the way I want it to. I know I can do the hinges. So, that being said, it's a bit of a mess up here, so hopefully the next time you see me, I'll at least have a running train going left and right. That's the theory. And hopefully I can get the servo decoders in place and start connecting the servos and adjusting those to the right thing, and see if my idea of embedding these servos into the foam is going to work or not. It's a definite maybe. Listen, guys, I really appreciate you coming in. Does anybody have any other questions at all? I'll wait here for another 20 seconds in case somebody has a question. But if not, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell icon on the right, and that'll notify you anytime that I have a video posted. I apologize for not having videos posted this week, but yes, thank you. I will enjoy the DR5000. I'm going to really be really interested in playing with that. And I've got a Digitrax throttle coming my way. Iron Planet Hobbies is loaning me a Digitrax throttle, the big 500, I think it is. So I'm going to plug it in there and see how it works. The only thing I don't have is any NCE throttle. I need to see if the NCE throttle will work with it, but I think it will. I know that the Roku Z21 app should work with it with Wi-Fi. So that's what we're going to be using today, later today. All my kids have iPods and stuff like that, so they downloaded the app, and at least they'll be able to control the train going back and forth. So, guys, thanks for tuning in, and gals, if there's any gals out there. Which turnout decoders will you use? I'm going to use the DigiKeys turnout decoder, which I have misplaced at the moment. It's somewhere here. I put everything in a box so I wouldn't lose it. But now I think I've lost it. Yeah, here it is. Hold on. So I've got my paper key and all that, because I have to label everything. And of course, everything's at the bottom. I'm using the DigiKeys DR4024, and I should be able to adjust the servos from my handset so I can sit there and watch it as it goes. I have a ESU switch pilot servo, which works really well, but you have to adjust the servos from the actual unit itself. So it doesn't help you if the servo's out of arm's reach. Anyway, this is what I'm going to be using for right now. I've got a third one on the way. Signaling, I don't know yet. That's something that's a little bit, the question was, what will we use for signaling? Not sure yet. I know DigiKeys makes a decoder for that too, but I'm just going to have to wait and see. I got to find N-scale signals that I want to use first, but that's a good question. I know that I think it was you that left a comment about Railcom. Was that you? In the comments of one of my videos. I would use Railcom, but none of my locomotive decoders use Railcom. They're all basic decoders. I think I've got two yeah, John. So I've got two European locomotives that have Zemo decoders that have Railcom in them, and I've got one European train that has a Lens Gold, which I believe has Railcom in it. But everything else that I'm running does not have Railcom capable decoders in it. So I didn't have Railcom on my last layout, and everything seemed to work okay. But I understand what you're saying. Railcom is kind of handy because occasionally my layout would forget what position a switch was in, especially if I turned it off and turned it on. Maybe the switch would reset and then all of a sudden it'd be in the wrong spot. So depending on the size of the layout, it'd be nice to know, have Railcom so it would report the position of the switches. But yeah, no, I'm going to be using the LocalNet combination, LocalNet T and LocalNet B. So I will be using a combination of Digitrax products and the stuff I already have. I have quite a bit of the European LocalNet T stuff. So I already was using Digitrax or DigiKeys location devices. And my wife was up here earlier and she moved stuff around because she said it was a mess. And now I can't find anything. So I don't know where she put it. So she shoved everything underneath my bench work, and now I got to dig around for it. So she's nice. I like her. So, but she drives me crazy sometimes. Oh, she moved away over here. So this is one of the I use the DR 4088 LN. Is it backwards to you guys? Because it's showing backwards to me. It's like everything's reversed. But I don't know if it's reversed for you guys or not. Anyway, this is the 2-rail. Yeah, this works really well. It has 16 detection zones. And for the money, these are really good value. It looks normal to you. Good, thanks, Ron. Yeah, so that's kind of why I started using DigiKey stuff, is because for the same price, I forget what this cost. The Digitrax unit was expensive. That had 16 detection units. I had to do a lot of soldering. All this is done with just screws. It's a LocalNet capable device, and the cost per section detected was really, really reasonable. And so, and that's kind of the same thing with the the servo decoder. So it's, yeah, John, I've never used S88. So I'm a little bit clueless about S88 and getting components for S88. But the DR 4024 servo decoder, I think, sells for $24, and so you put 4 servos on it, and that's $6 a servo. per unit. So that's pretty cheap if you ask me. Anyway, and then Iron Planet Hobbies is sending me something that I can actually power the frogs off of this. It's one of the modes in this unit. I can power the frog. So I don't have any of the frogs wired up yet. We're going to see how that goes. The Atlas Code 55 has like a little itty bitty thing so you can power the frog. But you either have to use a screw, which is a special screw, to screw that on there, or you have to solder it on. I emailed Atlas and asked them what screw I needed to have, but they never responded. Great customer service. Anyway, but I'll just solder it on. So anytime you have a screw or something like that, you could have a loose connection at some point and lose that connection. I also have frog juicers too. I can hook a frog juicer up to it. But that's just more wires. I don't know. You know, they all work. The frog juicers work really, really well. So, but I could use them until I run out of them. And I should have at least 20 of those things. Anyway, so if that's it, we're getting close to 30 minutes here, which I didn't plan on spending 30 minutes just chatting away. And I apologize. Day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, I was going by Menards today and the lot was full. They were parked on the grass in a field next door to it. I'm like, what are they selling at Menards that would cause everyone to park everywhere in other people's business? And it was just like, I just don't get into Black Friday anymore. So I did treat myself to a pair of new rail nippers, and I bought some extra wire. So I went to the local hobby shop and bought some extra wire and some extra rail nippers. So I figured I could use a new pair of rail nippers. So everything went together with this, my old rail nippers, but it's always nice to have a new set of rail nippers. You can never have enough rail nippers. So I'm always misplacing my rail nippers. Okay, so that being said, thanks guys and gals for tuning in today. And I should have a proper video for you guys starting next week. And at least 2. But with that being said, thanks for tuning in. Guys, have a great Black Friday. Have a great rest of your weekend. I hope your Thanksgiving was good if you're here in the U.S. And if you're not here in the U.S., I hope you had a good Thursday. And we will see you next time. Well, maybe I could get it to go. Hold on. It's supposed to hit cancel.